pain do you really suffer? You're doing well. Would you like to hear it one day, what kind of pain we suffer, those of us on the conservative side? Let's talk about becoming social outcasts. Let's talk about the fact that instead of being given the awards that we deserve, we are called every name under the sun by the vermin who run the newspapers. Or let us say, as in the ex-Soviet Union, where when they wanted to destroy a man's reputation, what they did, the worst thing they could do to him was not attack him, but ignore him and make believe he didn't exist. So here's a man with first-class college degrees, great work in science, 30 books to his credit, etc., on and on and on, who they pretend I don't exist in liberal circles. You say, well, that's the price you have to pay. How do you explain the fact that the New York Times bestseller list, which lists the books in order of their sales in stores across America, will not even note that Countdown to Mecca, my third novel in this series, outsold 5 other books for the first 2 weeks of its publication? That is right out of the playbook of the ex-Soviet Union run by Pinchy Sulzberger and the psychos at the NYT. So you say, well, what price did you really pay so you're not on the list? What does it matter to you? Does it really matter to me? What really matters to me? Very few things. Family and health, that's what matters to anybody at the end of the day. What else can you do? Can you really take... What if you wake up one day and you find out you actually do have a traitor in the White House? Tell me what a traitor in the White House would do that Obama hasn't done or will do. That's a good question for the day. Let's say these words are too harsh for the average person. Did I say to you that he is a traitor? That everything he does, melting... Let's start with one thing. The borders. He melted the borders down with Mexico, so terrorists and diseased are flooding into the country. Right? Is that not the act of a terrorist? So what else could a terrorist do to this country that he has done, that he has not done already? Explain to me. Think about it and tell me that I'm wrong. I got to take a break.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Hey, our Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com, the only company I trust for wealth insurance, gold and silver. Call 800-BUICOIN. It is the Savage Nation. I have very little time. I want to start with Ralph on WABC. He has a great point to make. Let's listen in. Ralph, welcome to the program. Please make your point.
How you doing, Mr. Savage? It's an honor to talk to you, and I've been listening to you for a very long time. And I've always been listening to you in the hope that you always gave us that this country will defeat these liberal people, and always given us hope for that. And now I listen to you. I listen to you now, and every time all I'm hearing is how more of this country is being destroyed.
Absolutely right. I apologize for it, but I didn't create the news. And Ralph, I got to tell you this. Sometimes it's the darkest before the dawn. I believe that the filth that is running this country, the filth that is running New York, the filth that is running the world, the filth that is running everything in the West, has so polluted the atmosphere that the people are waking up to the filth.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
All right, raise the flag, hearties. We're going into the trenches. We're taking on the enemy. Take a look at the doll that tried to behead cops in Boston. Take a look at his face. No comment from Obama. No comment for Sharpton. No comment from the rest of them who attacked police. Boston suspects allegedly hatched an ISIS-inspired plot to cut the head off policemen. Luckily, the police shot their brains out and sent them to the 72 virgins that were waiting for them. Boston area man named Osama Raymond. I guess they can change his name to Gloria Fitzgerald. Was shot and killed by police Tuesday when he came at them with a knife. and he was plotting with another suspect who police arrested and identified as David Wright to take off the head of police officers. What a job they have. Bring in more of them. I say bring in more and more and more from the Middle East, from Africa. Don't vet them, because that would be racist to do any kind of religious or racial profiling. Bring them in and let them cut someone's head off and then say, well, whoops. Better that we let someone's head be cut off than we, let's say, look down upon Muslims. You know, you get what I'm saying? You don't want to make anyone uncomfortable in America. What you want to do is err on the side of liberalism in every case. All right, Ralph, WABC, welcome back to the program. So you used to listen to talk radio for hope, and now all you hear is about the bad news. So do you still listen at all, or in and out?
Well, no, I try to listen to you every day. It's like, years ago, we were fighting liberalism, and we were doing good, and there was hope.
Right, and then we lost. For the number one reason we lost is that we had traitors in the Republican Party inveigle us into believing that they would listen to the people. So the enemy is not Obama. We know who he is. We know he's always been an enemy of America. We know he is trained to hate everything good about the country. We know he hates patriots. We know he hates the military. We know he hates the police. We know he's destroyed our borders, language, and culture. But the Republicans were put into power back in November to stop this disease, weren't they?
Yes, they were, and they are.
So the enemy is not the liberal. The enemy is the fake Republican like McConnell and Boehner and the other power structure individuals who are in there only and solely to advance the interests of the powerful international corporations.
Exactly. They're the biggest problem. They're the false hope. We put them in office to protect us. And
well, what can I do about it? So you say, well, why listen to talk radio then if it's all negative? Isn't that what you're really saying?
Well, no, I'm still listening to it because now it's opening my eyes to see the destruction of the country and to be aware of it and to warn people about what's going on and trying to...
Well, you live in New York City. Take a look at what the communist who's running New York has done. There's a thing he calls a shooting epidemic. Did you read the New York Post this morning? He calls it a shooting epidemic, or shooting problem, excuse me. He doesn't even call it a shooting epidemic, a shooting problem.
Yeah.
That's de Blasio. He's a man who's never found anything that he likes about America, has somehow inveigled his way to become the mayor of the biggest city in the country, and he doesn't want to admit that it's his elimination of stop and frisk that has enabled the murderous animals in the streets with guns to shoot with impunity.
Yep. He says they're still doing it, but now they have to have a reason to frisk them. Well, when a cop pulls somebody over for doing something wrong, he's going to pat them down anyway. So they're just going back to the way it used to be instead of going over the people and patting them down and talking with them. And possibly.
Well, look, de Blasio is a twin for Obama in New York City, and they are the two biggest problems in the United States of America right now, but they're not the only ones. I linked the story up that nobody could actually believe is true, and it's on michaelsavage.com. Here it is, from the Weekly Standard. Fascist Dem senator wants RICO thrown at climate skeptics. I'm not making this up. A man named, I don't remember his name, he's from Rhode Island. He's got a weird name. I can't remember. Senator used RICO laws to prosecute global warming skeptics. And that is a Democratic senator from Rhode Island. He said that anyone who doubts the global warming lie should be prosecuted using RICO statutes. Do you have any idea what that means?
That means we could all be arrested?
That means that the Democrats have become outright Nazis. A sitting U.S. senator is suggesting using the RICO laws to anyone who questions the global warming lie. Sheldon Whitehouse, can you imagine a man like that is a U.S. senator from Rhode Island? Can you imagine you'd wake up to a thing like this in your lifetime?
It's the communist states of America. That's what we're turning into.
All right, so wait a minute. So you say, well, why listen to this? Don't you think you should know that there are Democrats like Sheldon Whitehouse who would like to arrest anyone who questions their authority?
Yes.
Don't you think it's important for me as Michael Savage talk show host to point out who the worst of them are in order to make people, even so-called liberals, awaken to the monstrous Frankensteins that they put in power? I mean, come on, there's a reason for this show. So I'm going to give you a copy of Countdown to Mecca as a gift for being a good sport. Stay on the line. Now let's go to WYAB Radio. That's in Mississippi, isn't it? Better be in Mississippi. Elwood, welcome to the Savage Nation. What's on your mind, Elwood?
I inadvertently, apparently scared the living daylights out of a Muslim family with your latest excellent book, and I thought you might like...
Wait, hold it. You scared the daylights out of a Muslim family? How?
I was killing some time in a hotel lobby waiting for my wife and passing the time as I normally do, reading the best book I can get my hands on. And a Muslim family was checking out with two small families. I'm assuming they were Muslim. She had a headscarf, he had a beard. Two cute little girls, so I was making faces and playing with the little kids while Mom and Dad checked out. And they turned around when they were finished, smiled at me. I smiled at them. All of a sudden, the wife's eyes got about the size of dinner plates. She said something in Farsi to her husband. He looked at me. His eyes got about as big as dinner plates. I grabbed the kids and left skid marks, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I looked at what I was reading. I got to tell you, that is one killer dust jacket you got on that thing, Doc.
Oh, you mean they got frightened of the cover Countdown to Mecca?
They looked down. I said to the desk clerk, I said, was it something I said? He said, no, I think it was something you read.
Well, I think that Obama should hear about this, and since the book cover makes Muslims uncomfortable, I think it should be banned or burned. I think that the good liberals in America should round up all these copies they can get their hands on and burn them. Because we don't want to offend any Muslims who don't read English. They don't even know what's in the book. It's the opposite of the title. But, I mean, let's get into book burning. Now, maybe that would make them feel safe in the new country that they're in.
I was thinking billboards.
Yeah.
But
well, what is it about the title that scared them? What scares them about Countdown to Mecca?
I obviously, they took it the wrong way. I think they thought that meant exactly the opposite of the thesis.
Yeah, well, I guess they don't have the time to read the book. They have time only for a single book called the Quran. Now, there are certain phrases in the Quran that worry me, frankly, that I think should be banned around the world. I think anyone who wants to come to this country should not be allowed to either preach from a Quran, which says kill the infidel, or to repeat in a prayer 3 times a day or 6 times a day any such rubbish about killing Jews and Christians or cutting people's throats. Why should such a book be permitted in America? Can you explain that to me?
I can only point to the current administration, the liberal media. And
well, the administration didn't write the Quran.
Well, they're certainly sanctioning it.
Yeah, but I'm saying that any religion that teaches to kill is not a religion by definition. It is something other than a religion. And I think it's time to expunge Bibles even that call for killing of people. And I'll go a step further to show you how clear-eyed I am on this. I have read almost all of the Buddhist, they call it a Bible. It's not a Bible. The teachings of Buddha really is a philosophy. I've read cover to cover. I've never seen one phrase in there about killing anyone. Do you know that?
That's true.
I have read the entire New Testament. I have not seen one phrase in the New Testament which says kill your neighbor if he doesn't practice your religion or follow your ways. I cannot say the same thing about the Old Testament. I think the Old Testament, while it is not practiced literally by Jews, needs to be revised, and any references to killing adulterers, any references to killing homosexuals should be expunged from any new editions. That's my opinion. And the same should go for the Quran. And so I want people to understand that we have to evolve past these 5,000-year-old blood libels that were written in holy books, whether they be Jewish or Muslim. And I'm sorry for having lumped them together, but there's a certain similarity that is overwhelmingly negative for the human race. That's the clearest thing I've ever said, by the way, about holy books. Do you know that?
I realized that, and it was well said.
And I said it right off the cuff because I just had lunch so I could think again. I found myself faltering because I didn't have my cup of green peas and a half a hamburger and 2 French fries and onions. But now that the nutrients have circulated to my brain, I was able to say what I want. I'm not going to make any friends in the Jewish community with this, but it's too bad. I am sorry. If the Old Testament still teaches to kill homosexuals, it should be expunged. If the Old Testament says kill an adulterer, it needs to be expunged because that has no place in the world in which we live. And moreover, the Quran has many such phrases. Kill the infidel, don't trust them, don't do this, cut their throat. There's 101 such references to violence in the Quran. What sane nation permits that in their country?
None.